Welcome back to Crime Podcastle, everyone, for episode 28 of our Unsolved Mystery Series.
Oh, wow. Episode 28 already.
Time flies when you're having fun investigating, right?
Aha, that's right.
So today we're diving deep into a case that really gripped India. A story that blends poetry politics and a shocking murder. The story of Madhumita Shukla.
Yeah, this case, it's really a tangled web, you know? You get pulled in with each new detail.
Yeah.
And it takes you into a world of ambition and hidden relationships and this fight for justice that's honestly still going on today.
It sounds intense. So Madhumita Shukla, she was a young, talented poet from Uttar Pradesh, India. But her future was cut short under some pretty mysterious circumstances. And it left behind a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, and the investigation into her murder uncovered a hidden affair with a powerful politician, a man named Amarmani Tripathi, and that's really the detail that transformed this tragic loss into a national scandal.
So let's start by really getting to know Madhumita. You know, she was more than just a victim in this story.
Right.
What can you tell us about her life and her aspirations?
Well, imagine a young woman, in her early 20s, full of talent and ambition. Madhumita was making a name for herself in the literary circles of Uttar Pradesh. Her poetry was getting recognized, and she had a vibrant social life, surrounded by friends and family who just adored her. And she was the kind of person who seemed destined for greatness.
Which makes her death even more tragic. But it also adds a whole layer of intrigue, right? This wasn't just some random act of violence. It feels like there was something deeper, something more calculated at play.
Oh, absolutely. And to understand that element, you need to go back to May 9th, 2003. So picture this. Madhumita is found dead in her apartment in Lucknow, shot multiple times at close range. It's a chilling scene that really points to a very deliberate act to silence her.
I can just imagine that crime scene.
Yeah.
It's a detail that always sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
Someone wanted to make sure she was silenced permanently. But there was another element to this case that threw everyone for a loop, wasn't there? The pregnancy.
Exactly. The investigation isn't just a murder investigation anymore. It becomes this powder keg of a political scandal waiting to explode. Because the fact that Madhumita was 6 months pregnant and claiming Amarmani Tripathi as the father, that changes everything.
Okay, I can already see where this is heading. We've got a prominent politician potentially entangled in an affair with this young poet who ends up murdered while carrying his child. What were the immediate reactions when this connection came to light?
I mean, the public was stunned. The media went crazy. It was front-page news across the entire country. And Amarmani Tripathi was a powerful figure in Uttar Pradesh politics. He was a senior leader in the ruling party, someone who was accustomed to wielding influence, not dodging scandals.
Yeah, I bet the investigators felt the pressure too. Tackling a case involving someone that high profile couldn't have been easy. Did they face any roadblocks or any particular challenges?
Oh, absolutely. Investigating someone with Tripathi's level of power and connections meant navigating a minefield of political pressure and, even potential threats. Imagine the courage it took for those investigators to push forward, knowing the risks involved.
That's a point we often overlook in these stories. The courage of those seeking justice. They must have found something concrete to link Tripathi to the crime, right? Otherwise, this would have been a dead end from the get-go.
You're right to question that, because the burden of proof was immense. But they did find a trail, and it led straight to those phone calls that Madhumita had been making about her pregnancy. Remember, this was before widespread social media, so phone records were absolutely crucial.
Okay, so they had phone records, but what did those records actually reveal? Were they just calls between Madhumita and Tripathi, or was there something more damning?
Well, the records, they painted a very vivid picture. They revealed not just calls between Madhumita and Tripathi, but also between his wife, Madhumani, and a whole network of individuals who would later become suspects in the murder. Suddenly, the investigation wasn't just about a love affair gone wrong.
It's like that moment in a movie where you realize there's a whole other layer to the story, a conspiracy brewing beneath the surface. So is this where the focus shifts to Madhumani's potential involvement?
Exactly. The discovery of those phone records really opened up a Pandora's box of questions. Was Madhumani driven by jealousy and anger, seeking revenge for the betrayal and the humiliation? Or was there something more at play?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine the turmoil that she must have been going through, the betrayal, the public shame, the threat to her family's status. It's no wonder investigators started digging deeper into her role in all of this.
And that's where the case takes an even darker turn, because the police piecing together those phone records, witness testimonies, and forensic evidence, they started to suspect that Madhumita's murder was a very meticulously planned act orchestrated by both Amarmani and Madhumani.
Wow, a husband and wife duo allegedly involved in a murder plot to protect their reputation and their power. What kind of evidence did they have to support such a serious accusation?
Well, think about it. A young, ambitious woman is silenced just as she is about to expose a potentially devastating secret. The motive, as the police saw it, was clear: to prevent Madhumita from going public with the affair and the pregnancy, thus safeguarding Amarmani's political career and their family standing.
But motive alone isn't enough to convict someone, right? Were there any witnesses or physical evidence that tied them directly to the crime?
There were witness testimonies, some placing Madhumani at meetings where the murder was allegedly discussed, others describing suspicious activities around the time of Madhumita's death. But the real blow came when forensic testing confirmed the paternity of the fetus.
So it was undeniably Amarmani Tripathi's child.
Yeah.
That must have been a turning point in the case, shattering any remaining doubts about their potential involvement.
It was a bombshell revelation that really reverberated throughout the investigation, because the confirmation of paternity not only solidified the motive, but also cast a very dark shadow over Amarmani and Madhumani, making their alleged roles in the murder even more plausible.
With such compelling evidence stacking up against them, what was their defense? Did they deny any involvement or try to explain away the incriminating details?
They vehemently denied any wrongdoing on Amarmani Tripathi throughout the trial, and even after his conviction maintained his innocence, claiming he was a victim of political maneuvering, framed by rivals who wanted to see him fall from grace.
It's like a classic political thriller plot, you know? The powerful figure brought down by a web of conspiracies.
But did he present any evidence to back up these claims, or was it purely a strategy to deflect blame?
Well, while his supporters echoed his claims, pointing fingers at his political adversaries, concrete evidence to support the framing theory remained elusive. The focus for the prosecution, at least, remained firmly on the alleged motive, silencing Madhumita to protect Amarmani's career and his family's reputation.
It's fascinating how this case goes beyond a simple whodunit. We're delving into the murky world of politics, power dynamics and the lengths people might go to protect their ambitions and their secrets. It's almost Shakespearean in its complexity. You hit the nail on the head. And as the trial progressed, it became a media spectacle, capturing the nation's attention. Everyone was watching, eager to see if justice would be served, especially when a figure as powerful as Amarmani Tripathi was involved.
So what was the outcome of this high-stakes trial? Did the evidence and the public pressure lead to a conviction?
After months of intense legal battles and media scrutiny, the verdict finally arrived in 2007. Both Amarmani Tripathi and his wife Madhumani were found guilty of Madhumita Shukla's murder.
Sounds like a victory for justice.
Yeah.
A powerful man held accountable for his actions. Case closed, right?
Not quite. Remember, we're dealing with a case that's shrouded in intrigue and unanswered questions. While the trial concluded with a conviction, it didn't erase the doubts, the whispers of conspiracy, and this lingering feeling that we might never know the complete truth.
Yeah, there's always more to uncover, especially in cases that involve power secrets and conflicting narratives. So as we navigate this labyrinth of information, are there any other theories or perspectives that challenge the official narrative?
Absolutely. This case is a breeding ground for alternative explanations and theories that challenge the court's verdict. Some argue that Amarmani might have been less involved than the prosecution portrayed, with Madhumani acting as the primary orchestrator, driven by vengeance and a desire to protect her family's honor.
That's a compelling angle, shifting the focus from political maneuvering to a more personal, emotional motive. But are there any other theories we need to consider? Perhaps ones that venture beyond the immediate circle of those involved?
There are, and this is where the deep dive gets truly intriguing. Some suggest that Madhumita's murder was the work of professional hitmen, hired to eliminate her and prevent the scandal from exploding. It paints a picture of a world where powerful figures operate in the shadows, using any means necessary to protect their interests.
That's a chilling thought. But considering the political landscape and the stakes involved, it's not entirely implausible. So you have this complex web of theories, each offering a different lens through which to view this case. It's like piecing together a puzzle with missing pieces. How do we even begin to make sense of it all?
That's the challenge, isn't it? And that's what makes this case so captivating, because we're not just examining a crime. We're grappling with the complexities of human nature, the intricacies of power dynamics, and the elusive nature of truth itself.
It's a reminder that sometimes, despite our best efforts, definitive answers might remain out of reach. But the search for those answers, the quest for understanding, is what drives us forward. compelling us to delve deeper to question assumptions and to embrace the nuances of each story.
Precisely. And as we move towards the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore the broader impact of Madhumita's murder. Beyond the courtroom drama and the competing theories, we'll examine the lasting legacy of this case and the questions it raises about justice, accountability, and the vulnerability of those who challenge the status quo.
It's a sobering reminder that sometimes, even in the face of tragedy, there are valuable lessons to be learned. And as we continue to unravel the mysteries of the Madhumita Shukla case, we'll discover that the search for truth is often a journey without a clear destination, but one that's essential nonetheless. Stay with us as we delve deeper into this compelling story. So we've explored the details of the Madhumita Shukla murder case and all those theories. But now I kind of want to shift our focus to the bigger picture. What can we learn from this case? Not just about the crime itself, but about the society where it all happened.
That's a great question. You know, Madhumita's story, it's deeply personal, but it goes beyond just her individual circumstances. It holds up a mirror to the power dynamics, the ones that shape our world, especially in politics and when you're dealing with powerful people.
So we're talking about abuse of power, the vulnerability of people who get entangled with those influential figures. It's a pretty universal theme, isn't it?
It is exactly Madhumita's case. It's a reminder of what can happen when someone dares to challenge or expose those in power, especially when you have secrets and ambitions involved. It makes you think about how power, if it's not checked, can be a very dangerous weapon.
Yeah, no kidding. But this feels like a universal issue, right? It's not just India. It transcends borders and cultures. We see these power imbalances everywhere, in workplaces and relationships, even within communities.
You're right. It's a pervasive issue. We need more awareness. We need ways to protect vulnerable people. And we need a system that holds the powerful accountable for their actions, no matter who they are.
Accountability. That's a key word here. Did Madhumita's case have any lasting impact on that front? Did it lead to any meaningful change in how these types of cases are handled? Especially when someone high profile is involved.
It definitely sparked a conversation, a demand for a system that's more just and equitable. Madhumita's case and others like it, they fueled public debate and activism. People pushed for stronger laws, more transparent investigations, a system that doesn't just favor the privileged. It was a catalyst for change, even if it was incremental. In the pursuit of a society where justice prevails, no matter how powerful someone is.
So even in the midst of this tragedy, Madhumita's story led to some positive change. Pushing for reforms and raising awareness about the misuse of power, it's amazing how one person's story can ignite a whole movement.
It really is. And while the pursuit of justice in this specific case might have some doubts and unanswered questions, the impact of Madhumita's story went way beyond the courtroom. It prompted people to look inward, to really think about how power can be misused and how we need to protect the vulnerable.
It's a powerful legacy. It shows what can happen when we seek truth and demand accountability.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Madhumita Shukla's case, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all of this?
I think it's the importance of always asking questions, challenging what we think we know, and not accepting easy answers. The Madhumita Shukla case, with all its tangled relationships, conflicting stories, and unanswered questions, it reminds us that the truth is often really complex and hard to find. But that search for the truth, even when it's difficult, that's what keeps us moving forward. It pushes us to understand the human experience and to try to create a world that's more just and fair.
Well said. And that's what we try to do here in CrimePod Castle. Delve into the layers of these real-life mysteries, explore those gray areas, and encourage everyone to think critically and have these important conversations. So thank you for joining us on this journey into the Madhumita Shukla case. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of India's most fascinating unsolved mysteries, be sure to follow and subscribe to CrimePod Castle for more stories and discussions. Until next time, stay curious and keep searching for the truth.